Good evening. Oh, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
It'd be good evening here.
Oh, woo!
Cool.
That means that you're at least in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so some of you may or may not have been here before. We never know. Everyone's invited if you're a Positive Prime subscriber. So the idea is for me to drop in as I do or connect to. For me, it feels like I connect to a divine energy. It helps me to be a lot more intuitive, but I, of course, combine that with 20 years of studying and working in positive psychology and neuroscience. So it's very science and spirituality. So usually someone brave says, hey, this is the issue that I'm dealing with, or this is the obstacle I have, or this is the opportunity I have. Is there any advice, any suggestions, any energetic healing, anything that's going to help you to just shift a little or a lot? And we've got a couple of our Positive Prime leaders here with us today. I can see they've just dropped in. I don't know if they've dropped in as a participant or a leader or both. So they're more than welcome to pipe up and address anything that anybody raises. So who wants to go first? Let's dive in. Oh, you do. Wendy, go. Yeah, okay,
Jump.
go.
I'll jump. I am working to around putting together some classes, teaching classes, and as I'm sitting too much and I'm lifting and all this stuff, I have had outrageous amount of pain in my hips. I don't know that it's connected, but it looks like I'm going to be writing another book around trauma. So a lot of it could just be stuff that's just coming up to, dump. I don't know, but it's really irritating. And I don't want injections. I really don't want to do that. So, and if I could narrow down what my class is, that would help too.
I'm immediately interested in what type of classes, because usually hips is often around stagnation with creativity or sexuality. And that's the woo-woo answer. The other answer is your hip flexors might be tight. In other words, do some lunges as stretches. Pushing, it's almost like you stand. I could demonstrate if you like, but that might be a bit full on. What you want to do is stretch your hip flexors. You can Google that if you like. I'm pretty sure there's a guide.
I know that one.
Okay. So yep. It's interesting actually that you bring this up, because I was having these terrible pains referred down the outsides, like my iliotibial band. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a qualified osteopath and exercise physiologist over 20 years ago. Really? So my anatomy and physiology is not so bad. It's not like I'm not a doctor, but I am qualified, and I have done a bucket load of therapy, and I've taught nearly 5,000 therapists in the spa industry or in the wellness industry. So what I was finding was actually, it was that I was feeling stuck. And the more time I took out to go and do the kinds of things that I do to help me really connect to the divine and ask for guidance and listen to either the inspirational ideas that come through and then act on those. So for me, and maybe Nadine and maybe Shirley, you've got some suggestions here. Helping people to move in their lives is a lot about flexibility, right? And so you could actually ask yourself, and wait till you get the answer. So a lot of people are impatient and they won't wait to get to the answer, right? The answer doesn't come in our timing. The answer comes in divine timing. I'm sure you know this. Anybody else who agrees? And so you might ask, what am I needing to be flexible around? Now, is it that the subject of the book that you're writing, it's too narrow? Is the target market too narrow? So the curiosity that you have around And I love it that you think, oh, wow, here I am writing this book and my hips are hurting. And there's probably some kind of esoteric woo-woo answer to this. Yeah, great. And so long as I address all of the other physical aspects,
Yeah.
the truth
Yeah,
is
I've had a lot
that,
of SI joint issues since a car wreck.
right,
And now
okay.
it's
So,
bloomed into sciatica, all just out of nowhere. That stuff's wicked.
well, okay, so this is my own opinion for whatever it's worth. I went to doctors and physios because osteos like me, so people who've been trained like me, think more along the lines of partnering with physio and not partnering with a chiro, right? So what I
I
can tell
partner
you,
with both. Yeah, I partner
yeah,
with both. So,
my
and I do woo
issues
woo.
were resolved by a chiropractor.
Yep.
And it was a very nice reminder to me to not be so narrow-minded about where the solutions come from. Mm. So I would definitely do that. I'll think of a couple of creativity positive prime sessions for you to focus on, shall I? Because I think that if you can also tap into the energy of a positive prime session, so most of you know this, right? And maybe you don't, so I'm going to explain it to you actually. I'm going to share some screen. So give me a couple of moments to do this. Jen. Jen is actually an amazing art therapist. She's a woman who actually lives in Switzerland, and she's from Africa. So this particular session, most of you don't know that when I play this session, this is what happens for me, is that I speed up the beginning because I've watched several thousands of sessions now. But I'm going to go back down to, say, speed 4. And when I see Jen's face, I feel her energetically on my shoulder. This is her wisdom, her suggestions, her advice that she's sharing with me. It's actually almost like the Matrix video. It's like downloading Jen. Now, Jen is a beautiful, very spiritual energy healer. And so I'm connecting with her energy and she's transferring her energy when I'm watching her session. Now, her session is absolutely about creativity. And what we know from the research that we've been doing with positive prime sessions, positive prime, and in particular our sessions, because of the way they get your brain into a state of flow, it is a creativity state. So I'm sure I don't need to say this to you, Wendy, and you've got this like down. I would make sure that I watched the positive prime session before I started writing, if I'm sitting down to write my book. I would also make sure that I literally turn the volume up on the intensity around my creativity by watching a few more sessions, a few more quickly. And what people don't understand, I think, is that you do not need to read the words that are on a statement, right? Your brain is taking in 11 million bits of information per second. You are actually absorbing, you're accepting, you're appreciating the messages, and it's really important. So when I see Jen's face, I know it's because she has this commitment to sharing herself and all that she's learned and her energy and her divine love with me through this session. And it's a beautiful thing. She's also a beautiful human being. I've gotten to know Jen quite well, and she's funny. And what I do know is that she also runs creativity workshops online via Zoom, actual group art classes. She's fantastic, amazing with her group art classes. And so what I'm going to suggest to you is that you drop into a session like Jen's if you're feeling a little stuck, because a little creativity, looking at things from a different perspective, approaching things from a different angle, up, down, and around. You know, some people say to you, hey, go and lie outside on a sun lounge or a, you know, whatever, a blanket, picnic blanket on the grass, and look up at the sky. Because sometimes all you need to do is shift the angle that you're approaching life with, and that energetically actually also shifts you. So that's a great creativity session. Let me
Okay.
tell you, there's another great creativity session. I'm just going to go here to Jordan. So I can literally just do this, go and put someone's name up here and search, and I literally come. Oftentimes, when we're stuck, it's because we're moving in a different direction, right? And that is actually about change and transition and transformation. And most human beings really resist change. There's all sorts of reptilian brain neuroscience reasons that I could go into, and I will one day. But anyway, there we go.
Brain. And I'm building back from being down like after 18 years.
Good
So
on you.
it's all stuff I know, but getting from that I can't that your body teaches you to do over the years to yes, I can. There's a leap there that's just huge. And I want to get back on the I can side.
Well, look at this. The I can side. This is also a great session. The yes. Because
Kelly.
the yes
Kelly.
energy. Yeah. Do you know her?
I do.
Oh, wow.
And Jackie.
Okay, well,
yeah, I know that crowd.
Okay, that's beautiful then. Who wants to ask another question? Who wants something else? Or before we move on to there, if you're not yet ready, Nadine, do you have anything to say about hip pain?
Well, what I would say is that one of the things she can also do is drop into her heart. So if you do some heart breathing, which is to breathe into the heart area and just really focus on the love in your heart. And you might want to give a label to whatever it is you're feeling, and then just keep breathing into that until you feel that sort of lessen, if it's an emotional thing, or if you're wanting answers, once you've really centered yourself in your heart, if you actually ask the question, because your intuition is actually located in your heart, you could actually ask the question and then just keep breathing into the heart and see what answer that you get. And if you're not used to asking your heart questions, you can actually ask a yes or a no question. And that would actually help you to get a yes or no answer. So if you're saying, you know, is this something physical or is this something emotional? And you could get a, you know, a yes or no answer to each of those questions.
Okay. Hanshin.
I know that you were just seeing Nadine's session.
Sure.
She's beautiful, isn't she? Nadine Henshaw. All righty, so I can see Sharon, you're patiently waiting, hands up. Bring it on.
I have a couple questions. So I've been finding that if when I put intentions that are specific, I almost get less results of things than if I keep it, than when I don't put an intention out there. Like if I'm watching a Positive Prime video, say on success, I feel totally energized. The whole day goes perfect, better than perfect. And then when I start to think about something specific that I'm maybe trying to manifest for that success, then things don't go as well. And it doesn't seem like I'm blocking it or I have something that I'm trying to clear. It's just kind of, it's like my request goes opposite. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I'm not sure how to explain it.
It's not weird, Sharon. Do you know that's one of the most beautiful questions ever? And so we will spend some time actually answering this. So we might go a little over the 30 minutes because I think it's important. I hope this is going to be really helpful to you. So
Sure will.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love these kinds of ponderings. The truth is, I would dare say that when you think about something specific, you are, whether you're conscious or not of this, highly likely, really quite unconscious, you're attaching yourself to the outcome. And the issue is actually around attachment. And I want you to imagine the story you've heard before of the butterfly that comes and lands. And if you actually just hold out your hand, sometimes the butterfly will land. But if you were, first of all, to try and hold that, you would crush it and it would be over forever. And also, if you move, it actually will get startled and it won't land. And this is the same principle I'm sure you've heard of, where you desperately want to hear from somebody and you don't hear from them. And way back when we didn't have mobile phones and we didn't have answering machines, this was much more obvious. You'd go out to the garden and you'd be doing something and then the phone would ring in the house, or you would go out shopping and then I think all of us here are old enough to remember the times when we had those phones that you had to do this to and you didn't have whatever, right? So it's actually an issue of non-attachment. And for me, the surrendering and letting go session, let me just show you this, is one of the most powerful that I actually created to address this issue. Sharon, people actually have known me for, 10, 15 years as the girl who literally manifests way beyond my wildest imagination. Marcy Shimoff, I actually just talked about her, but she literally, she calls me the queen of manifestation, right? So she's just like, I can't believe what you manifest. And one of the bizarre things, actually, I'm going to show this to you. So one of the bizarre things is I actually, long before there was Positive Prime and there was this very elegant technical solution, I had a magazine. It was an architect's, kind of features of the year. Anyway, it was all of the images that I loved were of this round house. It happens to be in California. However, I cut all these images out. Now, see, I live in this house. This is actually where I am right now. So this is our house, our home. This is our property. And it is a Nautilus shell. And it was actually designed by an architect who adhered to the Fibonacci series mathematics. And it is precise. And it's one of the only in the world. And of course, it won lots of awards and it's amazing. And it's 40 years old. So anyway, let me just go down here for a second, see if I can get a better image. I think there is a better image. No, maybe not. Okay, so no, maybe let's just, I'm just looking for something that shows me a series of photographs so that you can actually see. No, not really. I can't see it. There's a gallery somewhere, but I don't know on which website. So yeah, so that's better. So it's absolutely perfect as an Nautilus shell. So I manifested a beautiful man long after I had these images of a round house. And this is kind of important because it helps us to appreciate divine timing. For those of us who believe that there is a higher power, a God or gods, if you're a Hindu, sometimes we can believe into there is a destiny for us, right? And we can inform that. And we also have to be in a state of grace to allow it to unfold in the best interests of our higher self. And so sometimes if you feel yourself going towards something specific, you can catch yourself and you can say, that's okay. Do you know what I really want? Let me give an example, an outrageous example. I really want a Porsche and or something even better that I'd be happier with that I can't yet understand, right? So if you can add or something even better, you allow God and or these universal forces to give you something that is more appropriate for you on this spiritual journey,
Mhm.
right? So I have found that when I have completely let go of any attachment to the outcome, which by the way is quite hard work spiritually, you can't spiritually bypass this stuff, that's when it magically manifests. And it's always because the situations and the circumstances and the people and the resources have shifted in such a way because of other preceding factors, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say I really want to go on a particular vacation, right? I really want to do that cruise out of Venice or into Venice, whatever, right? So long as there's or anything that is in the best interests of my higher self.
Okay.
So Sharon, I committed to a spiritual journey that allows me to experience the fullness of this life and my potential.
Mhm.
That was a very scary thing for me to commit to,
Hmm.
because that could mean that, and it's interesting because I've just been in Bali and the Hindus really do believe in karma, and they also believe in reincarnation or future lives.
Mhm.
And the funny, well, no, not the funny, the fascinating thing for me is the entire of their existence is particularly structured around these beliefs.
Mhm.
And everybody who goes to Bali notices that the Balinese are just these very beautiful, kind, gentle, patient, gorgeous human beings. It's like that, like for 5,000 years, there's been energy anchored
Mhm.
into that island. And it's because they know there are consequences and implications for their good deeds or their,
Mhm.
quite frankly, bad deeds.
Yeah.
It's actually also a society where there is little to no crime, right? Now, there are some modern influences and some other cultural interests from other parts of Indonesia that might be unfortunately damaging some of that purity, but let's not go there for a moment.
Mhm.
The fascinating thing is that if I am supposed to experience poverty in this lifetime for my own karmic benefit, it's, do I want that? Because I quite frankly quite like luxury. Right. So committing yourself to a spiritual journey that is in the best interests of your higher self
Mhm.
does not necessarily mean that you end up getting what you thought that you always wanted. Some of these lessons we learn the hard way. I'll give you another prime example. I would have loved to have had children in my 20s and 30s. And Cameron and I have been through a couple of miscarriages in my 40s. We did not know that it was my autonomic nervous system and my vagus nerve and the way that it actually works with the bladder, so the other side of the uterus.
Mhm.
I had been told by a specialist, because I had cancer of the uterus and they'd done some surgery, that maybe it would impact my ability to have children. And the crazy thing about our beliefs and what we understand from quantum physics and also what we understand now from the power of the mind is that I probably believed I couldn't have children and therefore I didn't. But I had completely given up on having children. And I met Cameron and he'd never had any children and he had no real desire to have children. And he had a, previous partner who'd had, I think, cervical cancer and hysterectomy in her early 30s. And so he had chosen love in this relationship, which ended up not working out. But that's not the point. The point is that I really, really, really think that I would be an awesome mother. And yet I have created Positive Prime with tens of thousands of spiritual children for whom I feel like I care for emotionally and unconditionally, like I would my own children. And I'm not trying to make myself biblical, but maybe I get to express this motherly love with a greater number of people in this 24/7 tech platform, right? So getting specific about what we want is really important. So I might go to a website and get lots of photographs of that particular cruise. And every single time I see images of the ports, one of the ports is Montenegro. Of course I want to go there. But so long as I allow the divine to give me what it is that I truly desire and what is in the best interest of my higher self in a way that is actually in keeping with my spiritual journey, somehow I can maintain a faith. Often the things that I thought would work out don't or haven't. But what has ultimately worked out is way more extraordinary in the grand scheme of things. And I couldn't possibly understand this if I didn't have enough time and space in hindsight, right? So back to, I had all these photographs of these beautiful house with all these round walls. The universe knew, God knew, I had to be partnered with this man who was totally into architecture. His name's Cameron, who saw online this Nautilus house, who said to me one day, hey, baby, let's go and have a look at where this place is. We come to this place. I know this region. I see the view and I go, I haven't even seen the house. I haven't even seen it online. I don't know it's a Nautilus shell, right? And I'm totally into the spiritual and the, you know, the quantum physics and the mathematics and so forth. And I see the view and I go, oh, baby, we have to have it. Right. When we got to the house, because when you arrive at the house, you can't actually tell it's a Nautilus shell, right? Because you don't have this aerial view. I fell in love with the energy here. Now, whether you believe in some woo-woo or not, people had told me the house was magical, and we fell pregnant when it was physically impossible for me to fall pregnant in this home. Had I known that I would have needed a pacemaker in order for me to have perfusion working perfectly so that a womb could have actually nurtured a baby to term, maybe, but that's just not the way life turned out.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that there wasn't an enormous amount of grief or emotional trauma or everything else that goes with desperately wanting something and not getting it, right? So it's a subject I understand. It's a subject I definitely have searched for the answers around. How can you want something, not get it, and know it's in your best interests? That God actually saved you by steering in you a different direction.
Oh, and I totally believe that. And that's happened to me many times. And I have things that have come to me that I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do that right now. And I do it. And so I've been very blessed and very when I don't think about it so much about what I might want, and I'm not usually that detailed either about it, because I'm very open to what God is bringing to me. I've been very fortunate. It comes tenfold usually. And so I almost like, well, geez, do I think about what I want, or maybe I don't?
Okay, great question. Yes. Yes. And right. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So have the photograph of the Porsche, the exact model, the exact color. Have the photograph of the exact holiday that you want to go on to. Have the photograph of the exact whatever. And as you see it, try to actually say to yourself, this and or something even better. I have been known to teach that when I watch I've got this huge personal super mix and it's got all my personal photographs in it. I literally connect to the divine and ask that the people, the circumstances, the situations, and the resources come to me in such a way that makes me feel calm. I've had a lot of these things come to me that have actually made me feel completely unsettled and uncomfortable, right? And allow for all of this to unfold now as quickly as possible with ease and grace and joy. right?
Could you repeat
Remember all
that,
those words?
please?
Yeah, sure.
People,
Okay, so
resources.
could the people, circumstances, situation, and resources, you know, so for me, it might be, thank you, 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 thank you for the people, circumstances, situations, and resources necessary to help me actually experience all of this in a way that makes me feel very comfortable and calm, graceful, and allow me to actually manifest everything with ease and grace and speed and joy. Now, from a success point of view, Sharon, just because you mentioned that, what you could say is with ease and grace and speed and joy. Now, if being in debt is not joyful for you, see how that's energetically misaligned?
Right. Mm-hmm.
If working too hard to get what you want, sacrificing your health or your relationships in the process is not graceful, the universe won't give you the thing that actually required more of your effort and time and energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you were here at last week's gathering, I kind of said sometimes we're not given what it is that we want and need because we're not willing to sacrifice whatever is necessary to actually get it in the energetic field.
Yeah.
And so for ease and grace and speed and joy, now I was telling someone yesterday, I have a pacemaker in my chest. The truth is I have one, right? So that's just a fact. Now, because I'm left-handed and they didn't give me an option to put it in my right side and it's migrated, so it's moved, it feels like a permanent disability and it affects everything. So I loved playing tennis, can't ever do that again. I loved playing golf, can't ever do that again. I'm very strong, dominant left-handed. I wish I could do it all with my right hand, but I haven't yet. And it's not important enough for me to learn to play golf with my right hand.
Right.
It's all about, is it a must? Because the reality is that I'm clever enough to play golf with my right hand. No doubt about it. I'm human. God actually gives us whatever it is that we need in order for us to be able to do whatever it is that we decide that we want to commit to. Right? However, it's an interesting kind of thing because I know I've got to have another operation. And I know that it took over a year for me to actually get back the movement in my left arm, which would be what I do everything with, opening doors, closing them, cooking, eating, picking up a suitcase. And so what do I want to do? Like, I don't care. There's no judgment. I don't care what people think about whether what I want is appropriate or not, whatever. I want to go and travel. That's what I want to spend my money on. I could spend it on jewels. I could spend it on house improvements, but I want to spend it on travel whilst I can.
Yes.
Right? So there's all sorts of really interesting parts about manifestation. So when I looked at this particular cruise, I looked at the itinerary and I looked at the excursions, and there's this drop-off point in Israel, and there's also this drop-off point, and there are these two options, and one of them is swimming in the Dead Sea and another one of them is visiting the pyramids, right? Anyway, you would not believe it. I have just been invited, invitation only, conference for leaders of the wellness industry to this particular event in a couple of weeks' time, and it's being held in Tel Aviv, and it's really important for Positive Prime and for business for me to be there. And guess what the pre-conference or pre-summit group thing is?
The Dead Sea. I was there. It's incredible.
Is it?
It is. It is. I love it.
Right. So had I not had photographs of the Dead Sea in my collection of private
It wouldn't
images,
have been
personal
brought to you.
images, and see how the universe or God just organized the people, the circumstances, the situations, the resources necessary for me to actually be given this opportunity to have this manifestation sooner rather than later, because I say with ease and grace and speed and joy. Now, ask me if in my schedule I thought, oh yeah, I can go to Israel for 2 weeks in October. Yeah, no, I did not have time to do that. Will I? Oh yeah, because it's in the best interest of my higher self.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
There you go. So these are usually only 30 minutes. Once a week I do this. I can see though that Judith has had her hands up very patiently. And so you'll learn, if you don't already know, I'm super generous and I'm never going to leave anyone in the lurch. So Judith, share with me your question, your curiosity, your observation. Let's make sure you're unmuted.
Well, like I said, a couple things. For some reason, I mean, I know they tell you not to watch screens before you go to bed,
Yes.
but that keeps coming to my mind to do positive prime at that time. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, brilliant question. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so nanotechnology these days means that most glasses actually have blue light filtering. So here's what I would say. You need to go to your optometrist or wherever you buy your glasses and ask, do they actually have blue light filtering? Because the exciting thing is, it used to be a special request and an expensive part of your order for reading glasses. Do you want to hear the funniest thing? I have absolutely perfect eyesight. Many years ago, I had written a book about gratitude, and I did lots of public speaking all around the world on the actual science of gratitude. So there is an actual science of gratitude. They actually prove that the more grateful you are, the more your body actually absorbs the oxygen out of your bloodstream, and you actually get better gaseous exchange. So accelerated healing when you're really super grateful, and they've done all this amazing research. So anyway, I used to do these keynotes about gratitude, the science of gratitude and so forth. Anyway, to cut an extremely long story short, it actually talks about in some of this science how it improves regeneration processes in the body. Now, I had an X-ray and I needed a filling, but I'm really, really intense with respect to gratitude practices and rituals. And I teach them and I've taught them for, gosh, more than 15 years. And I went back to the dentist to get the filling. And the dentist says to me, it's gone. What do you do? And I said, well, I do this process called positive priming every day. And I have a lot of personal photographs that are of who and what I'm grateful for. And so I actually use it as a gratitude ritual. It's like a self-love ritual for me, watching a positive prime session. And he said, you know, in the textbooks, they talk about this, that in positive emotional states, people can literally grow enamel. It's actually a fact. It's written about. I've never seen it in practice. He asks the other orthodontists and dentists to come in and have a look and then look at my mouth. It was just weird, right? So I'm nearly 50 and my teeth are perfect. See, they're perfect, right? It's not that I drink less soft drinks than anybody else or sugar or whatever, right? Eat less chocolate. I've just got perfect teeth. It's because I'm really anchored into gratitude. Well, at almost the same time, so it was actually, I did have a huge medical for my 40th. I wish that they'd picked up that I had an autonomic nervous system disorder, but they didn't. I also had my eyesight done, and my eyesight was absolutely perfect. And the optometrist just couldn't believe that, like, it's literally like I'm 12 years of age and was born perfect. And they said to me, so what do you do? And I told them about this gratitude. And then they said to me, there's this research that says positive emotional states actually improve your eyesight. Well, since then, I've gone through, 6 near-death experiences, being dead, and then coming back alive again. And so there's been a fair few things going on inside my body. So I go to the optometrist last week and I need glasses. Anyway, I'm in this really deep and meaningful conversation. I'm like, I don't want glasses, right? I love having no glasses. I love that part about my story. Anyway, she's like, bad luck, you need glasses. I was like, well, I do actually use a magnifying glass now because I can't see the, the small print. It was then I learned that it comes standard now in Australia, blue light filtering in glasses. How amazing is that? Because it is a real thing.
So this is on the prescription glasses.
Yes.
Can you get these glasses at?
Yeah. So you could even go online and Google. If you don't need prescription, do you need prescription?
Yes.
Oh, no, seriously, I'd go and ask. Maybe the actual glass, the frame, the lens in your current glasses might actually have blue light filtering that you don't know about.
I can check.
It would be awesome. So having said that, the benefits of positively priming yourself, if you're really dealing with sleep issues, probably outweigh, right?
I'm not, it's not, I don't really have sleep issues, no. So that's not I don't know what I would put on. It just came to my mind. I thought, well, follow through on this and see what happens.
Well, what I can tell you from a manifestation point of view is that, and I'm sure you know this, you've watched something on TV or you've been to the movies and then somehow you dream about it later. So you can actually inform, right, the parts of your brain that are actually going to be integrating at night by watching positive prime sessions before you go to bed. And it's actually probably a very healthy thing for you to do, particularly if you're watching some sessions that might be around being calm or around being less lonely, if you're looking for, the motivation to go out and connect with people socially, right? I think that there comes a time when we're so comfortable with our own selves, we like ourselves a lot, and we need less and less of going out. But actually, shall I tell you something really fascinating about the research that we've just done? So I just talked about this in a previous class I was in or gathering, but bear with me. I just want to show you something really fascinating. Well, it's fascinating to me. Maybe it will be to you. I'll try and say this as fast as I can. So we've had some research done and it's really amazing. And the findings are even more amazing. And an excerpt was actually submitted to the most prestigious of the academic scientists in the field of neuroscience, right? And goodness me, I nearly hyperventilated when the lead researcher said, we're going to submit this excerpt. And I'm like, no, all of I'm not good enough. I'm not actually a neuroscientist. I'm not actually a psychologist. I'm just a layperson who's had these downloaded ideas and I'm tenacious enough to have turned them into a, thing. I may have done 10 or 15 years of study in positive psychology and whatever else, but, quite frankly, there are lots of people who've done lots of study that's either in personal development or self-improvement or spirituality, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I was hyperventilating just out of feeling not enough to be hanging around academics and scientists, particularly neuroscience, right? Anyway, well, we got accepted. So our research is actually what they consider a breakthrough for 2022, and we get to go and present it amongst all these other super geeks and nerds, right? So anyway, I kind of fancy myself as a super geek and nerd, except I'm a pretty one. No, you're allowed to laugh, right? That was me making a joke at myself. So anyway, so the crazy part about this story is in the actual research, we were examining the building blocks or the formula that makes up our algorithm for a positive prime session, like the types of images that we use and the fact that we have words on images in the background, and why have I made sure that all of this is the case. And so we're examining what makes it so impactful, but the research team's really looking at brain dynamics, right? So here's the amazing thing. The research proved to us, because we did eye tracking, EEGs, skin conductance, heart rate variability, skin temperature. So there was lots of these different measurements of the participants, that our eyes are seeking the smiling faces that are in the formula, right? Because, and I'm actually going to start doing this more and more so in my own keynote speeches, because part of the breakthrough is around that I knew this. It just took very advanced eye tracking technology to actually prove this. So you know how everybody is seeing out there this information around what's driving us is an overactive amygdala, or our fight, flight, and freeze mechanism, right? And people talk about the subconscious and the conscious, and whether or not we protect ourselves and prevent ourselves. And so when something's unfamiliar, we have to assess it as potentially damaging. And so therefore we resist it or we reject it. And I definitely know that, right? So that's part of why change is so difficult. However, there's an equal and opposite to everything. And I have for many years been very curious about whether the reptilian part of the brain is actually driven by fight, flight, and freeze, or something else. And I suspected it was something else. And the truth is, it is something else. It's about our human need for connection. We have a greater survival instinct for connecting with others than we do for protecting ourselves. A lot of the modern day personal development and self-improvement and NLP and getting over your limiting beliefs and dealing with manifestation, and a lot of what's being taught is around all of this fight, flight, freeze, amygdala, cortisol, anger, stress. We are literally just about to cause a major disruption. And as soon as I start sharing this on stages, you're going to find that lots of other people are going to claim that they came up with their ideas about this. The fact is that I will have been the first. However, it is so exciting because I read some research, and it's in Sean Akers' book, and it's about social connections. And I live in the world of the spa industry or the health and wellness industry, have done for 20 plus years. And there's research that basically says that as we age, the quality of our social connections is a greater indicator for our morbidity and our mortality than anything else. Over and above diet and nutrition. So don't like la when people tell you need to do celery and cucumber juice. Yeah, no. You need hugs and smiles, right? There are so many people in the health and wellness industry who will tell you nutrition is everything. BS. Exercise is everything. BS, right? Your ability to have a greater number of quality connections with human beings is more important to your health and well-being than diet and exercise. Now, huge statement in case you didn't hear. Yes, and diet and exercise is also important, right? But don't be listening to people who are going to try and convince you that it's more important than laughing and snuggling, right? I spent many, many years as a single woman.
So which positive prime comes to mind? With somebody that said, I have like I have very few connections.
Okay.
My whole
Judith,
life
we
like
need
no
to help you. Great, 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 great question. All right, so let me just quickly go and show you.
And you said
A lot
that's
of
what's
people,
running the reptilian brain, correct?
pardon?
That's what's running the reptilian brain more than the
Yeah.
fight flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you, look at this. When I suspected this, I was reading a lot, I was researching a lot, I was investigating a lot, I was having a lot of conversations with amazing people who are doing work in this area. So I created this particular session called Social Connection. A lot of the people that I know in corporate world actually have social anxiety. And a lot of the people that I had been working with around aged care, social anxiety is a very real issue in aged care because we lose our confidence, particularly in our mobility. And from a morbidity and mortality point of view, that's actually seriously serious. So the fact is that my mother's in her late 70s, but she still goes and plays mahjong with a group of ladies, and that is critical to her health. She actually doesn't understand that it's critical to her health, but it is. Women are actually a little bit better than this than men, but my father at 70 joined a rowing, you know, like ROWING, a rowing club there's this type of rowing that they do in the south of France, and it's like, it's not fine boats, it's these, they're not surf boats, they're called coaster boats. Anyway, so he started rowing and connecting with the group of people who are in their 70s and rowing. Anyway, so you must like consciously curate, think about and gather enough evidence for some social things that you can do. And a lot of people have like, I don't do group therapy. This is not group therapy. This is like, you've got to get yourself into social activities. You must. It's necessary for your health.
I try.
Yeah. Keep trying. Now, do you want to hear the awesome news? Do you want me to tell you the absolutely awesome news?
Yes.
Right? Okay. This is the way it works. So let's just see. I'm going to see this particular. I actually created this. It's actually almost like a prayer that I do for everybody else. So you could send me a photograph, or you could send us to support a Positive Prime a photograph. And what we would do is we would upload your photograph into this particular session. And as I watch this particular session, I send blessings to all the people who are in this particular.
I think
So
I'm
I'll
already
give you-
in it.
Oh, you think you do?
Might-
You've done that?
I think I have.
Okay. Well, this is Margaret. So I'm sending her a blessing. And we'll see. There's a few standard photos in here. These are all Positive Prime members. I've gotten to know quite a lot of people over the years. And so when I see the photo of them, I now have this beautiful, warm connection, a positive primer. So a positive primer, you know, and so I actually do this energy healing, I suppose, or this prayer as I'm watching this session. No, but here, oh, there's Fiona Rumble, and she's on the call. Did you see yourself go? Valerie and Michael. So anyway, let me also go here and show you something really amazing.
Where do we send our pictures, honey?
To Mayumi. So support@positiveprime.com and say, please add it to loving our beautiful community, being happier. All right. So here are the goodness backs. All right. So I'm going to show you two things, and then I'm going to give you a link, and then we've got to be off because I've got a meeting in 3 minutes. So this particular session, being happier, has enough people who have what we call Duchenne smiles, and social connections, people being social. And here is the most fascinating part, but this is the true secret of Positive Prime. You ready? You ready? Oh, all right. So I'm going to show you that Duchenne smiles, that's me. They're warm, genuine, sincere smiles And in eye tracking, your brain knows whether the person is honestly smiling or faking a smile, right? So this has actually been proven. And you know, in what's called pre-conscious processing, and something incredible happens inside your brain and your body. So ready? Let me go here too. I need to get a particular page to show you this. So bear with me. I'm going to talk to you about your mirror neurons. This is something a bit different. Let's go to all the elements. You can't navigate this because this is usually only for our coaches and our trainers who get to know this info. Let me go down here to mirror neurons. And let me give you this in the chat. So everyone in the meeting. So mirror neurons. Oh, this is an old video that I did. So your brain gets messages via the retina in your eyes. Okay. So your brain gets messages from the retina in your eyes. So an image processes through your eyes, the retina, you're not consciously doing this, by the way. The retina sends messages to the brain, in particular to your mirror neurons, about what it is that you've seen. Your mirror neurons process it in pre-conscious processing, which is like so fractions of milliseconds, so fast, you can't possibly know what the retina in your eyes have done to your brain. Your mirror neurons then send messages to your endocrine system, and you hormonally produce different chemical cocktails. Neurotransmitters, yes. Endorphins, yes. So your endocrine system starts to produce more dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, right? So those hormones are some of what you get when you're in social connection. Now, it's a bit different. You can either take a vitamin and mineral in powder form, could be more bioavailable to you, or you could have an IV, say of vitamin B. So being in connection with somebody, actually physically, you know, like my hand touching my skin, but my hand touching somebody else's skin, somebody else's hand touching my skin, we know for a fact this is like IV vitamins. It doesn't mean it's the only option for human beings. Some people don't want or can't have IV vitamins. So positive prime is like the powder version. When you view a positive prime session, your brain does not know whether you're seeing a smile, looking at smiles, Duchenne smiles, or whether you're actually smiling. Now, here's the nuance you absolutely need to understand. I'll say it again. Your brain doesn't know if you're looking or seeing a smile or whether you're actually smiling. Your brain processes the information as if you are smiling. That's what causes the cascade. So it's your mirror neurons assuming it's you smiling that causes the endocrine system to produce the chemical cocktail. So let me actually literally give you the bottom line. Your brain is going to see photographs of social connection, and guess what it's going to do?
I think I have social connections.
High five. Judith, you're the winner, the best in the class, right? Seriously? So one of the reasons why I am desperate about the purity of a positive prime session and why it has to be an option for people is because I actually believe that scientifically we are going to prove that viewing a positive prime session, particularly in aged care settings or in other settings where maybe it's more mobility that's preventing people from these deeper social connections, or in settings where people are neurodivergent, maybe the sensitivity around being on the spectrum means that you don't have these, you know, as many options for social connections. Yeah. So, do you know, like I'm kind of driven to prove that Positive Prime has a greater therapeutic intervention value than this consumer product that we, quite frankly, are offering to the world at the moment. It's exciting, isn't it? So, Judith, watch more Positive Prime sessions. I promise you the formula does it to you and for you, just because that's what it does.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does, Kim. And it works with my clients.
I love that, Nadine.
I got to go, but
Me too.
nice meeting everybody. Bye.
Love you all. And I'll see you back here next week if you'd like to. Or tell everybody else, you know, if you're a Positive Prime subscriber, you get to come here once a week and we do this again. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.